Anyone want to say anything about how you've been finding these meditations? Any any breakthroughs or any obstacles that you want to say out loud, or have they you've noticed any impact or anything? You know, like who knows? It could be like if some situation happened and oh, okay.
Well, to be honest, I really haven't, and I'm going to be super honest, I haven't been real. I've been doing this on Wednesday nights. It just seems like, you know, it's like do the work, get on the cushion, but it's like working late and up early and stuff going on after work and just busy with life. But I just so appreciate your teaching. Like it's just really amazing, and I'm just, you know, I'm just trying to go down that more spiritual path anyway. So this is just adding to that, and it feels really, really good. And I just feel really fortunate to have been introduced. So I'm really happy, and it's just, yeah, you know, I will make the time, and yeah, it's like full of really good intentions, right? So just, you know what I mean? It's like I can talk till, but we know how that works. So
Yeah.
that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's good. It's it's like I was saying before, right? There's the it's a long and deep and heavy habit, right? Life, right? Life. Yeah, it's like being pulled by things that we that are just important to us because which is interesting that you say that because we're going to talk a little bit about that today how um, we are just so pulled to not meditate or you know there's just so many other things that can so easily just like fill up the day and it does take some time for most people and sometimes it can just pop and you're just like okay you know but for most a lot of people it's really hard to to really make an about face so you take little steps and yeah eventually you know your mind and body will want that more than the other stuff. So, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you speak for a lot of people. I think your voice is a voice that speaks for many, many. So,
Well, my dreams have become a little bit more vivid, I guess,
uh-huh.
and my intuition, it seems, upon awakening is like I'll wake up always about 2 minutes, 5 minutes before my alarm clock goes off on a regular basis. And I woke up the other day and I knew who won the Stanley Cup without even looking at it. So well, that was weird. I think I know. So just like little things, you know. Yeah.
Who won?
Yeah. What did Stanley Cup?
Chicago won.
When did it even just happen? Was it?
Yeah, it was Game 6 the other night.
Oh. I guess. It's Stanley Cup. What are you talking about? I guess it's when it's another city. It's not like in Vancouver, right?
Yeah. Just a little bit more of a knowing, you know, without
Yeah.
more of an intuition.
That's cool. Yeah, so you know, tapping into some kind of consciousness that it's like, yeah. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I would just mention that I love the idea of emptiness, and
Yeah.
I've known about that, and I've heard the Shakespeare's saying but I find that with your talks I'm getting a better, deeper understanding,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a chance to put it to the test.
Ooh.
My in my family of origin, people blow up at each other and just huge outpourings of meanness and emotion and so on, and then act as though it's never happened.
Yeah.
So for the first time in years, I had a family member do that to me, and it was, throughout the whole conversation, I was thinking of the concept of emptiness, like about how, what she's doing really has nothing to do with me. It has to do with what's going on with her. But I got sucked in a little bit, though, unfortunately.
Right.
And sure enough, within a day came an email from her in which she acted as though nothing had happened. So it was I was struggling with all my communication models, and
Right.
but trying to recognize it as being an exercise in emptiness. I'm not totally successful at
Right.
it. Still a bit PO'd.
Still a bit PO'd.
Yeah.
But so somehow out of it you managed to get some kind of neutrality with it?
Yeah, to have
Yeah.
like a deepened awareness that it really didn't have anything to do with me.
In what way did it not have anything to do with you, would you say?
Because it has to do with my aging parents who've just had surgery, and
Mm-hmm.
she's sick and tired of old people, and this
Right.
type of thing. But it was.
Oh, I see. So what you're saying is you understood that she was projecting something onto you, in a sense, and that you could handle that.
Yeah.
You didn't take it personally because you understood that it wasn't really you that she was like seeing, but it was something that was arising for her.
That's right.
That she was then sort of painting onto you.
Yeah, that's right. I wasn't doing my part where she was, really doing. She
Yeah.
was doing like 20 years of self-sacrifice, and
Yeah.
here we are
Yeah.
again. And so I mean, it was
Yeah.
directed towards me.
Oh, yeah,
But
sure.
Of course, but I could see that where it was coming from.
Yeah, that's nice.
But I still got drawn in.
Yeah.
A little bit.
So then that's great. And so then the next step is you have that kind of a situation, and then you have this this nice kind of realization. Well, all these things that this person is saying about me or accusing me of, or we won't go into the details, but wherever it may play out, you can understand that, okay, I'm in front of them, and whatever, like their karma is being, or whatever's coming up for them is coming up for them. And I didn't ignite it, right? But here I am experiencing it. And, they may very well believe that I am the instigator of the feelings or whatever, right?
Mm.
So then, and if you can gain that ability to think, okay, it's their karma that's forcing them to see me that way, that's beautiful. And then you take it the next step and you think, okay, but why am I also forced, to see her the way that I see her? So you can also think of, however you are experiencing it works exactly the same way as she was experiencing it. So that right? And so whatever interpretation that you gave the situation is also empty, in a sense where you would be forced into perceiving it and interpreting it in the light of whatever was in your mind at the time. So it sounds like you had an experience where you had some kind of some virtues going on in your mind, where it allowed you to be, okay, whoa, I got some teachings recently about this, and I can sort of understand, right? So, right? And maybe 2 weeks before that, or maybe an hour later or something, we don't really know, because we're not really in control of what's arising at the time. maybe you would have had a very negative experience. Maybe you would have yelled back or gotten your back up and taken it really personally. So it's nice to look at how you had the ability to be with the situation in both ways. So you look at it kind of from her angle, and then also look at it from your angle and say, wow. Because it's really tricky, and it's kind of a bottomless thing. Because you can go, you know, you could just as easily have gotten completely afflicted about that whole thing. But for some reason, right, there was something in your mind that allowed you to see it differently. And that's where you are fully involved, right? Where that's like your part of it. So it's nice to go, you know, it's like you power it up. You get way more mileage out of the situation by looking at both.
I don't want to take up a class time with that,
but yeah.
As human beings, we have to respond.
Oh, sure.
So knowing emptiness, nevertheless, one is in the position of having to respond as opposed to just not saying or doing anything. Right?
We must respond.
We must respond.
Emptiness. Emptiness goes hand in hand with karma. You can't separate the two. So it's like, because of that truth, right? Because of the truth that things are empty, that the emptiness allows the karma to do its dance, right? And so when someone is going off, or whatever they're doing, you must, with all your heart, behave the best way that you can at that time, whatever that is. You must, and the trick is to get into the awareness of, okay, you know, I'm going to react to it in this way for the specific reason that I don't want to see this so much in my life, right? And if I, with the understanding that okay, I have this choice here, it's coming, and if I react in kind, right? If I throw the boomerang back or whatever it is, then I just created more of the same. I put more of the same stuff back in my mind. It will pop up later. So yeah, we must respond. And if we respond with kindness and love and wisdom, we're changing the whole game, right? It's a game changer, right? It changes the whole situation. So yeah, exactly. We must respond. We must respond, but in a new way, to create a new. You want to create a new mind and a new heart and a new life. React in a new way. Yeah.
On this, well, I've been lucky enough to have the time to meditate every morning.
Yeah.
And to project myself, listening, to see myself
Can
listening.
you speak a bit louder? So
Yes.
I can't hear you.
I've been fortunate to have the time to meditate every day and to practice looking at myself breathing
Yeah.
and catching the whole concept in an abstract way. But what I realized that when I do grocery shopping, suddenly out of the blue is, are you grocery shopping right now in a conscious way?
Right.
Or are you just doing like the whole samsara thing and just repeating reflex?
Yeah.
Keep going and go. And then I realized like little things that I do that I didn't pick are not really like they're just reflexes. They're not really like conscious.
Yeah.
So in what you're talking here with her is like you have to respond, but if you can actually every time you like we have thousands of response per hour, like per minute.
Oh yeah. Per minute.
Being able to catch as many as possible, being aware that every time you respond, you've got like some kind of supra consciousness stepping in and says, okay, this is how you're gonna respond instead of just reflex.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what we're cultivating. Just what you did actually. You stopped what might have been a knee-jerk reaction by having some awareness like that, you know. So it's that we're trying to get that gap happening, that little, just like you experienced when you're shopping, instead of just like, right? There's this, right? Yeah.
But that's exactly what was happening. I was hungry.
Yeah.
You know when we say don't go grocery shopping when you're hungry?
Yeah, yeah.
And I
Oh,
was
yeah.
just going, bad, what are you doing? But it was not only with this, and it was a period of the day when I would not be
Yeah.
aware of what I was doing. And after a few hours, was I aware the last 4 hours?
Yeah.
It was just a program.
Yeah.
It's okay, the next at least 30 minutes I'd be fully aware the way I walk in the street, the way I see people. And it's been increasing. So now I can say maybe I'm aware an hour during the day.
That's a substantial accomplishment, right? It really is. There's many people that would, be very, very happy if they could just reach that. When I started noticing, what I really surprised me when I started seeing what I was doing in stores was that I realized that I was going in there and I didn't really want anything. I just wanted to know that I could. Like I would go in there and I'm gonna buy this thing, and my momentum would run out as I got to the thing, and I would realize I don't want to buy it. I just want to know that I could buy it. And then so that was kind of revelatory, when I thought, wow, I don't need it. I just want to feel like I can. So it's like taking some kind of refuge in, I don't know, placing my hopes in the fact that, I don't know, I had $20 in my wallet and I could if I wanted to. I don't know, but same thing. And these meditations can help you get that. So let's do our meditation. So I'm not going to spend, again, a lot of time on the setup, because by now, supposedly, we should have, I know some of you aren't there yet and some of you are, but we'll do minor setup, because eventually you'll reach the place where you just sit down and it's just your whole body is just hungry for it, So if you want to lie down, take your lie down. If you want to sit, and we'll prepare to meditate. So we're going to once again dive into the watcher. So let's take a little bit of time here. We'll relax the body. Take some time to make sure that you're in a comfortable position where you're not moving around. Get some lift and some straight by inhaling deeply and using that inhale to draw the crown towards the sky, and then keeping that lift as you exhale. Shoulders relax. You have this smile in your heart, so that leaves for a light heart. Be very light-hearted. You can help that by gently smiling. Don't take yourself too seriously. It always just ends badly. Shoulders are relaxed. Jaw is relaxed. Forehead is relaxed. Also very alert, relaxed and alert. Now let's take a few breaths, enjoying the belly breath. not having any control, or at least trying not to have any control, release the breath onto itself and enjoy the expansion and contraction of your belly as nature does its thing. Just let it happen. And now move up, getting a little more subtle now, watching your breath as it passes the tips of the nostrils, watching the air flow out and back in. And now that we're a little quieter, we can follow the sound of the bowl. Try and follow it right to the end of the sound and feel that inside your body. Now take your mind up to the space between your eyebrows and back a little bit. And let your mind use that point of focus to get some kind of crystal clarity and sharpness. You can use that image of that very tiny diamond. It's about the size of a head of a pin. And you can really draw your mind there by just visualize that you're looking at a diamond there, but it's in the sunlight, and so it's blowing you away, how it's refracting the light and dazzling you with its brilliance. It's so tiny. So use that to rest your mind there. Just keep your mind focused there. How it plays in the light. And now, as before, we're going to drop back and down. So let your mind fall back to the space behind your heart. That sensation of letting go of the wheel and getting into the back seat. Someone else is driving the car. You're just observing. Like falling back into a dream. If it helps you, and you keep bouncing up, back up, and forward, you can use that diamond and actually visualize it traveling back and down and landing right behind your heart. And that may help you. And in relative degrees, as your practice deepens, you will be able to take your whole focus there. So you can try now you can visualize or feel that you are that diamond. First you focus on it, and then you put your whole mind there until you're actually inside the diamond, looking out. And you're inside your heart. This may be a bit of a push for some of you. It may be easy for some of you. But you can play with that. In any case, we want to drop back down behind the heart and start watching our thoughts from there. Whatever thought comes, you can picture it surfacing from your heart. Watch them surfacing from your heart. As though they were arising to the surface of your awareness in a dream. Don't get caught up in it. Keep reminding yourself that that the meditation is on the mind itself, so where the meditation is not the thought. It is not engaging in the thought. So you're constantly reminding yourself that you are in a completely passive watcher state. And from there, take note of the certain base conceptions that you hold on to. Picture the place where you sit. This room around you. One by one, deconstruct them. And how do you do that? the picture that you have of the room is just an object of thought. The picture you have of yourself, of your body, is just an object of thought. Go through each of these base conceptions, getting this sense that you really feel that absolutely everything is nothing but this ripple in your mind. And then, if you can, let yourself reside in this nameless, bodiless space that is your mind. This mind that extends to the ends of the universe, encompassing everything. This vast space of mind. Then go back to watching your thoughts. Whenever a thought arises, just actively start to involve yourself with it and attach to it. Look into its emptiness and deconstruct it until you see that it too is just an object of thought, and then let go. You can do that by having an object of thought. Maybe it's your concept of your body or your concept of the room. And what you're looking for is that automatic assumption that it's out there in a self-existent way, that somehow it doesn't need your perception of it to exist for you in the way that it does. And then you deconstruct that by catching, oh, I have a thought about it. It's just an object of thought. And you let it go. How do you deconstruct a mental image? You try to deconstruct the mental image so that you see it as it is. An object arises in your mind. You think it's real. Then the antidote thought comes. Oh, it's just a label. It's just a word. It has no meaning in and of itself. It's just a string of sounds. And you watch the word fade into nothingness. And then you understand that the picture you labeled is just a word. It's just the same. And then we'll ride the sound back. Remember to stay very quiet as you're opening your eyes, to first gently have your eyes cast down as you gently open your eyes, and then slowly trying to maintain that centered place as you then take in the rest of the room on your own time. bag, do whatever you need to do to get comfy. If you're getting, if that was hard. It's peaceful, right? It's hard to stop. For me, I'm like, well, I guess the class has to keep going. I guess I've got to come out and start talking, you know? Yeah. So in the first class, like sort of the steps to Mahamudra, right? The steps to finally discovering the one, the great seal, right? Getting to see the nature of your unborn mind, and then being able to understand how reality is working, and then putting that seal, right, that stamp on your perceptions in your waking day. You know, it's like you had that experience with your family member, right? You could say that you Mahamudra'd it in a way. You put that stamp of, you put that label on it, right? And we can do that, you know, by the power of our concentration. We can put that other label on it. No, that's not necessarily so. I can work it, you know. And in the first class we began, right, with just the breath, trying to get this watch your state of mind happening with the breath. And then the second class we went into sound. Sound is good because it comes and goes, right? Sound is great because we can, it's easy to watch what how we're conceptualizing the sound and how we're putting a picture onto the sound. And it naturally comes in and it goes. So it's a great, I love using sound. It's a great way to meditate because by the sheer nature of what the mind must do, it just has to paint a picture on that sound. You know, it's very tricky to not conceptualize it and put your story onto the sound. But there is a state that you can reach where you can be in a room and you can be looking around you and seeing all that you're seeing, and there's no backstory. You're simply, you know, you're simply with the appearance of what it is, and there's no running, you know, lament. There's no, right? It's just this joyful perception of what is appearing to you. And in order for that to happen, we go through these steps, right? And we use sound. Because sound is a big part of our lives, right? Because someone singing is a sound. Someone calling you a nasty name is also a sound. You know, someone saying beautiful words, oh, I love you, I adore you, that is also a sound. And we can learn to not have so much investment in whether, you know, that has any bearing whatsoever on our personal happiness, right? It's a great skill. And then the third class, we were doing the same thing with thoughts, watching them fade. That was one meditation. And actually in that class, we also did this thing when we asked the Lama, we asked the teacher for blessings to understand, right? To help us. And then finally in class 4, we began to do this thing where, okay, let's go a little bit further back. Let's see if we can drop back and down and rest here and witness and witness and witness. So His Holiness the First Panchen Lama, Lobsang Gyaltsen, who was really our primary source for these talks, really. And he's really a big advocate of Mahamudra. And he says things like, so we're trying to access this like unaccessible place. But that's not true. It is accessible. But it is accessible and it's unaccessible. There's a part of us that cannot access it, and there's a part of us that is that. Right? And it's kind of like, well, then what are we doing? Right? Why bother meditating? If it's right in front of us, if it's what we are, then why are we trying so hard to meditate? It's like the simultaneous nature of our own true nature. It's like it is the thing itself, but it is not a thing. It's not a thing, neither is it no thing. And you can bang your head against the wall for years trying to figure that one out. Right? It's like that's the beauty of trying to get that watcher happening, because you can get that thing where you just like, there's something that's not there that I was really counting on, right? That I've been counting on and thinking was there for a long time, for many, many lifetimes. When you start to get these deep insights into how things are appearing to you, and you start to understand, like maybe it's your child, maybe it's your child, or maybe it's your lover, and then you start to do these meditations, and you start thinking about it a lot, and then you start to get this, whoa, they were never what I thought they were. They were always just appearing to me in whatever way I had the mind to see. And they were never anything else but that. And I put so much pressure on them, we put a lot of pressure on the outer world, like you were saying about the shopping, right? We're going around, we're trying to get something. We go into the store, we're hungry, but there's more to it than that. There's a whole other thing going on when we go into the store, and I have a friend at work, and he's a musician as well, and and sometimes we talk about being a successful musician or not being a successful musician. And he'll talk in ways like, I'm learning these techniques of like of changing the way that you could say like affirmations. He's learning affirmations, and he's doing these techniques that to get the roadblocks out of my way of thinking that I can't be a successful musician. And he's like, Johnny, you should try these things, and see. But I consider myself a very successful musician, and not because I sold an album or not, but because that I'm just playing and I'm having fun playing, and that took me a long time to get there. It took me a long time to get there. I had many failures. I had fun when I started, and then I went down the ego hole of degeneration, and it became a horror show for me, right? And then it took me, I took everything to finally come back and play for joy. But the trick is, the thing is, like, who cares if I am a successful musician or not? Am I going to spend all my time to try and figure out how it is that I could get out there in the world and people can see me. And then I would be like a valid person. I'll be like validly happy because I sold a certain amount of records or whatever it is. When that's not going to make me happy either. The only thing that's going to make me happy is if I can figure this out. If I can figure out how it is that this freaky, primordial, ununderstandable mind that is actually what I am, that is actually making my world, and then do things to create the mirror of my own happiness. If I don't do that, well, then it doesn't matter how many scales I play, or how much schmoozing I do, or how many affirmations I say. And here's where we can't really talk. It's like you don't talk politics and religion at the dinner table. Well, you come to understand there's a certain thing where if you don't say to somebody who has a lot of investment in, like, this is my dream, you don't say to them, well, your dream is meaningless, right? Because we go through levels of aspiring, and we get ourselves to these heights, and we need to rise to these heights and fall. We need to accomplish, and then to understand we accomplished nothing. We need to accomplish and to understand that, that didn't make me happy, so that we can finally, and it may take lifetimes, we can finally realize, man, I just got to figure out my own mind. That's really all there is to do. There isn't anything else to do because nothing else works, right? So how is it? So in order to have this experience that we've been calling the direct perception of emptiness, which is basically saying have the direct experience of what can't be experienced, and have the experience that you can't even talk about after you've experienced it. You can't even brag about it because you can't explain it. It's you can't explain it. It's beyond duality. It's beyond conceptual reality. So, but it's what we are. So what are we doing running around trying to figure it out when it's what we are? Well, you either experience yourself as that or you don't. Right? And because of the nature of how our mind projects our reality, we're stuck in that karmic, whatever karmic loop you're in that karmic loop, right? Even if you know you're in that karmic loop, like you gain this understanding, you still can't stop it, right? You still have to make that trail across the sky. You just happen to know that you're doing that. And you happen to be gaining some skill at creating a beautiful trail across the sky instead of smog, right? So, how do we have the experience of being able to understand what it is like to be bliss if we're not that, right? We have this understanding because we're all sitting here. There's something that's drawing us. It's like, yeah. I know there's something, I can't put my finger on it, but I know it's there, or I wouldn't be here, right? How do we get there? How do we allow this thing to open? How do we allow this thing to spring up so that we can then have that experience and then be forever changed? Well, it is an experience, having this direct perception of your own mind, and because to have that direct experience of your own mind basically means that you don't experience anything. You experience the moment before, and you experience the moment after, but you don't experience the moment during. Because the you that you think that you are, and the you that operates in the world, that's conceptual reality. That's duality. You know, that's, you know, John sees cat, right? John chases cat. You know, it's nothing more than that. You know, John sees drink. John drinks drink. If I was completely in the perception of emptiness totally, I couldn't have that experience. I couldn't see a thing, actually. I couldn't hear anything. I couldn't feel anything. I couldn't know myself as a self. So then we work towards this experience, and then we come back down, and then it all reasserts itself. It's like, but now it's like John drinks drink, but now John knows what the heck the drink is. And John knows where the drink's coming from and how the drink came to be because of this experience. So, because this experience is so, it changes you as a being. You, before that experience, you're a certain kind of a being. After that experience, you're a different kind of a being. It takes a lot of what we would call virtue. It's not just meditating that does it. It's not just meditating. It's acts of kindness. It's countless acts of kindness. Because it's a big deal. You know? It's a big deal because not only is it a big deal because it's so incredibly blissful to experience it, and because you're in such incredible bliss after it, but you got the key to reality. How is it that someone's, you know, how is it that you're going to create in your mind the mirror that is going to be someone hands you the golden key to all of reality? Well, you got to be really nice. Right? Like all the enlightened beings that you hear of in history, like there was nobody that ever became like Jesus by being a jerk. Right? It has never happened. Anyone you want to say? HHDL didn't get there by being a jerk. So do you think that you're going to get there by being a jerk? Are you going to be like the one exception? Right? That pulls it off but yet doesn't love people? Right? No. That's not how it works. So I thought that today would be a great day to talk about 10 things that can help you see the ultimate nature of your mind, and 10 things not to do. Okay? It's like the 10 Commandments. Very, very relative. And there are ways that you can be careful of this. So the first one, like, okay, let's just say you're in this new game now, and to win the game, you're going to go from, like, as you start as the player, you go from like this person who gets on the board and understands, okay, I have a certain kind of body, and when I speak, it sounds a certain way, and sometimes people like it, sometimes people don't, and I have a certain kind of a mind, right? We have a certain kind of body, certain kind of speech, certain kind of mind. So you want to change that from being like normal to be like enlightened body, enlightened speech, enlightened mind, right? So because your world is your mirror, You have to do things with body and do things with speech and do things with mind to then create the enlightened body, enlightened speech, enlightened mind. Right? That's what you do. So it's like, and you stop doing the things that have created schmuck mind, schmuck body, and schmuck speech. You stop doing that because those things have created. Okay? So let's just go body, speech, and mind. Can everybody see that? Probably not. I'm going to stand up, or I'm going to sit in this. I guess this is going to ruin it for all the people in the world that are watching, all the millions of people that have tuned in. Okay. So, the things, the three things.
Hold it for you?
Oh, no, this is good. I'm having fun.
Okay.
So, like I'm doing some power stance here. So, the three things that we have been doing for countless lifetimes that have made the body that is in pain, the body that gets old and dies, is this. We've been killing. Right? We've been killing. We've been stealing. And what do we really like to do with our bodies? We've been doing sexual misconduct. Right? And that creates a certain kind of body. That creates a body that causes you pain. That creates a body that gets sick and dies. Okay? Now, what are the things we've been doing with our mouth that have created? Now, your speech, right? Your, like, what you say to the world creates a whole, like, so many things. Like, for instance, these are the ways we've been speaking. Okay, these are the ways we've been speaking for countless lifetimes that have made us feel like crappy about ourselves, jealous, low self-esteem, in competition with others. Okay, we've been lying. We've been lying. Okay. We've been speaking harsh words. We've been speaking divisively. You know, like talking behind people's back. That's fun. We've been, and we've also been speaking meaninglessly, idle speech. You know. We've been talking a lot about the tabloids. We've been buying those magazines and spending hours discussing whether Tom Cruise is going to get that mole removed or not. So this is what we've been, okay? So what have we been doing with our thoughts, right? We have been, with our mind, coveting. We have been wanting what other people have. Yeah. We've also been having thoughts of ill will, where we've been ill will would be like unhappy when someone gets what they want. We've been like, someone gets a promotion and we're like, well, that sucks, right? Or simply hoping people fail, or just simply like someone. Well, they got what they deserved, right? Like this, I could go on and like this. Ill will. We've been doing a lot of that. And finally, the clincher. Wrong view. Wrong view. We have been traipsing around for lifetimes thinking that the world is coming at us. That we haven't been creating our own world by our own actions. We've been thinking that things are beautiful from their own side. And because they're beautiful from their own side, then it's mine, I want it, right? Mine. So coveting. But it all starts here, you see? So if you want the big golden key to reality, you have to understand what wrong view is, so that you can then start thinking differently. What you were doing is starting to think like, you know, and then you had taken the emptiness into your friend, thinking, well, she's projecting, right? This is coming from her, however she's seeing me. So then, like I said, your next step is to go, okay, what is coming from me? What was coming from me in that situation? So then, we've been doing a lot, because basically, that is basic ignorance. That is it's like the baseline. It's because if you really understood that everything that you did in the past has created your world, and that you are actually projecting your world because of those things, you would never do these things. You just wouldn't, because you would know why you shouldn't do those things. So, what we need to do in order to see the unborn nature of your own mind and then so become a different being from that is to stop doing all these things and then start doing the opposite. Right? So what's the opposite? So if we want to have the kind of a body, right, that doesn't cause us constant pain, that eventually is the body of an enlightened being, what do we have to do? We have to stop killing, and we have to start taking care of others. Right? Let's just say protect life. We need to protect life. Right? When somebody's thirsty, give them a glass of water. Right? Go out of your, if you see a spider in the corner of your living room, then you gently scoop that little boy out or girl out, and you make an extra, like, don't just think, and just get it out. Make a nice little ritual of picking them up and then going outside and then placing them somewhere nice. They'll be happy here anyways. There's no food in my house. Not that I know of. So, things like that. Stealing, be generous. Right? Any lack that you experience in your life at all, there's a cause for that. It's not like some things have causes and some things don't. Right? If you feel like you have, and you can feel like that. You can have no money in the bank and feel like you have the world. And you can have $50,000 in the bank and feel like you got nothing. It's got nothing to do with what you have. It's about whether you feel like you have what you need or not. And if you don't feel like you have what you need, you have not been generous. In fact, you've been stealing. And stealing comes in many shapes and forms. And then finally, the opposite of sexual misconduct, sexual purity. That's a tough one, right? Sexual purity. Rejoicing in other people's relationships. Being happy, Maybe you've been lonely for 10 years, and your best friend finally meets the love of her life, and you're like, yeah, well, that's great. I'm glad you're happy. You got to change that. You got to then be like seriously, like, I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy I'm seeing this in my world, because that means something good about you. Right? Tell the truth. Telling the truth basically means don't give someone, right, whatever comes out of your mouth, make sure that you're not presenting someone with a false idea of what you know is not true. Right? You know if you're lying. Harsh words. Speak gently, right? Speak gently. Speak kind words. Speak gently. Speak softly. Stop swearing. You know, if you work on a construction site, that'll take a little bit more effort, but just stop. Divisive talk. Oh. If someone comes up to you and wants to go on a rant about, like, what a jerk their friend is, or what a, you know, or what a jerk somebody is, just stop. Like, change the subject, like, for them. For their own good, change the subject. I think that deep down, everyone hates this. They can't, but we get so locked in, and it's ugly. It's an ugly feeling when you're done. It's like you're hung over from it, right? But we get swept in because we want to fit in. We're so desperate for other people, and it's so funny because we don't even know how they feel about us. We're so desperate to think that someone else likes us that we're willing to engage with them in divisive talk so that they actually like us, when really we're not doing them any favors or ourselves any favors. I got into the habit a long time ago of I would just go silent. And if you just go silent, what happens is the last words that were said ring in the air, right? And the person that last said them has to deal with it, and it rings around, and it makes them think of what they just said, right? Or I've done this, and this has often worked. I've said to them, you know what? Whenever I talk about somebody behind their back, I just feel gross. I feel disgusting, you know, and that works too. That works too. And it's good to notice. You'll be developing this with these meditations. Is you'll notice the pull, right? You'll feel like the pull to engage, right? And you just like stop it. So that is the action of turning it around, is stopping it. And if you gain worldview, it's easier, because then you think, you know, divisive talk, like, we're divided. We're divided within ourselves. It comes from division. We want to become these whole, happy people, and we're forced in this karmic loop to see ourselves as very separate from other people. You know, you and me, and never the twain shall meet, and, you know, and even within ourselves, divided. We're divided in our thoughts. We can't decide anything, right? We're very divided in how we think about so many things. Where do you think that comes from? It's from speaking in the world in ways that actually divide people, you know? Idle speech, meaningless. They say that meaningless speech is one of the greatest causes for low self-esteem. And if you want an idle speech, a great way to do it is make promises you don't keep. Make promises you don't keep. Then you got some serious idle speech going on. You're like, meaningless talk. Yeah, I promise I'll be here on this day, and you never show up. And you make a constant habit of that over time. You know, it's like if you want your speech to be the speech of a holy being, then you can't really lie. You have to speak the truth. So then your world will be true. You will see the true world, right? Truth. So you want a very clear mind, right? And this, you want a mind that understands reality. Well, we have to stop thinking that something that someone else has is going to make me happy. Got to stop thinking that. And because generally what happens is we'll do stupid things to get it. Generally. But coveting could also be just, you could call it ignorant desire too. And you know, ignorant desire, we do all kinds of things for ignorant desire. All kinds of things for ignorant desire. Like, well, a good example of that for me was like just going into a store, and just I had, you know, this feeling that I would get something, I would get some kind of form of like relief or happiness just from being in a store and feeling like I had the power to bloody well buy something. That's a good example of ignorant desire. Ignorant desire, like I think our strongest ignorant desire though is people. It gets us in the most trouble. Our relationships. It's so you know, thinking that our spiritual partner, our lover, our friend, it's like it's up to them, right, to make us happy. Behave in these ways, right? Behave in these ways, and it'll all work out between us, right? And then you could also call ill will ignorant aversion, where we also think that, you know, behave in these ways and I'll be happy, but misbehave in those ways and I'll be really unhappy. Right? I was in a good mood until I came home and the toilet seat was up. You ruined my whole night. That's how insane we are. And we give a lot of power to the toilet seat. Right? The laundry. Sure. Oh yeah, the laundry. Leaving stuff lying around, you know.
Is there an opposite to coveting? Like, say, if
oh yeah, I should have went to opposite. Sorry.
You have something that helps you or makes you happy, and you kind of want to share with somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like I mean, because some of these teachings I would like to share with other people, but
yeah,
you know, obviously it's within the right time, or maybe it's not the right time. Like, is there a similarity between coveting and maybe pushing something on somebody that's making you happy?
Yeah. Okay. So that's a good question. Be very, very careful about this. You know what? It all comes down to the big M. Motivation. Why are you doing it? You know? Like, why are you doing it? And it's like, you can quickly get a sense of whether are you doing that because you truly think that they'll benefit from your words, or are you doing it because you want to feel good about yourself? Mm-hmm. Right? And this is what we do. And it's quick, and it's like, and when you start getting these teachings and you get all fired up, most people get on this thing where they're like, I got the answer and I need to tell you. You know, and then you lose friends like that. It's like you become this, I don't know, this person who goes off and thinks they have the answer. Nobody cares. You know, nobody wants to be hanging around with someone who thinks they know all the answers and must then, you know, preach. So you just watch your motivation. You be very, very, and as you meditate, you'll start to be able to go, oh, wow, this is all about me. And that's beautiful, because then you get freedom, right? But if the situation presents itself, you'll know the difference. It'll be very different. It'll just come out of you like just blah. And you know, if there's some kind of thing we got to think a little bit, and you're trying to this and that, then you probably just shouldn't even bother. Shouldn't even bother. I learned that the hard way. I first started this and I was like that. That's like, guess what I know, and guess right? Guess what I know, and you don't. Let me enlighten you. You know, that's like stealing time. That's stealing someone's time. They're like, well, they're now faced with the challenge of having to be nice, right? The horrible burden of having to be nice, while you spout off. Right? You know.
It's a hostage situation.
It is. It is a hostage situation. Totally. So the opposite of coveting would definitely be being very happy when people have things. Be very be very happy. And the opposite of ill will would be like being very, very sad when someone is suffering. Have compassion. You see someone suffering, you go, oh, I don't want that. I don't want to see that in my world, you know. And the opposite of wrong view it would be worldview, which would be in this room would be just simply knowing that objects in your world don't present themselves from themselves at you with a meaning that is inside them, like this thing, right? The view in this room is that. The perfect view of this object would be simply, it functions, it is a beautiful thing that rings this bell, and I see that as a thing that rings this bell, but I also see that and I know that it ain't necessarily so. Whoever's looking at this is what is making this thing. And that is the road to freedom right there. Because then you're not, you know, you don't have to get into an argument about what this thing is. Right? And you can get into this beautiful position where not only that, but you don't have to argue about anything. Because then you understand that it's a constantly changing thing anyways. And your idea of it is going to change too. Right? And however they see it is valid for them. Let them have their world. They don't need for you to try and paint their world. Let them have their world. If you're in it in a beautiful way, then great. You know? So, in order to, I think next class we'll talk about how to dive into this a little bit more. But for now, you're doing your meditation, but also during the day, you're being very kind. Because it's not like you can sit down and meditate and get really still, and it's not like you can do that and then expect, you know, all of divinity to come crashing down and hand you the keys to reality if you're walking around not being generous, lying, swearing, stealing, right? It's just not going to happen. You're just creating more of the same. Yeah. So, very important. So important. If you want to create a perfect world where you're happy in it, and you accept everything in it, and you accept yourself in it, then put into your mind, put into the world what you want reflected, and that is what will be reflected. And that's just the bottom line. That's just it. That's what's been going on. Whatever you're seeing now, right? Whatever your perception is of me, of each other, of this room, right now, in this very moment, is changing like crazy. And it's all your lifetimes coming down to bear on this one moment. And that's what you're seeing. You're seeing the reflection of all of that. you know. And so, yeah, you want to become an enlightened being. Just do countless acts of kindness. Just be kind, you know. Do your best. And in whichever way that you can, and everyone will have a different way. Some people will take care of animals. Some people will take care of seniors. Some people will be on a soup line. Some people will just think that an act of kindness will simply be mindfully walking through the world, being kind as they walk. There's limitless ways to be kind, you know. You can think that the ultimate act of kindness is just trying to figure out how your own mind works, so that then you can, like, the world is safe from you. Right? That's a very kind act. It's a very kind act to figure out your shit. It's a great act of kindness. Yeah. Because the result is people are safe from your mind that's been creating harm. So let's just wrap up with a little meditation. We'll do a little version of the first one. So take a moment. Feel like you're coming to rest in your body. Relax with that restful breath. Rest on your breath. Don't worry about the breath. Just go there. Enjoy it. And then take the attention upwards. Watch the breath as it passes the nostrils. And then make the little step from the nostrils, watching the breath, to then visualizing that glittering tiny pinpoint of diamond between your eyebrows and back a little bit. See it glimmering in the light of the sun. Sparkling. Very tiny. And then let's actually try this method of focusing on that little pinpoint of diamond and visualize that you are watching it move through from that point between the eyebrows and back a little bit, and then up a bit, and it curves around the inside of your skull, and then drops right down and just comes to rest behind your heart. And see if that helps you take your mind down to that place. Like this falling back sensation. And we can do this in a nice way that would benefit our understanding of reality by starting to watch our thoughts and starting to notice the picture that we have of the room we're in, the body that we're in, the body that we have. And notice that there's a steady stream of labeling going on. Putting a word to a picture. So you become the watcher, very passive. And you get to have the opportunity to feel when your mind wants to jump into a thought and start thinking about it, putting a story to it, deciding. And then you can let it go by simply noticing that process, and then understanding by noticing that process that that is what your world is. Ripples across the sky of your mind that you put meaning to. If you get some practice doing this, you can catch yourself in the waking world. And you can drop the assumption in the same way that you're deconstructing your assumptions in meditation. You can drop your assumption about what you're seeing as your The people in your life are in front of you, as you then get very good at understanding that you're putting a word onto an image and believing it to be true. And that it was never you. That we believe that that we're seeing something that is there. That's the great mistake. We believe we're seeing something that is there instead of putting the color, putting the thought, putting the word onto it from our own selves, from our own minds. And maybe for a moment you can rest in that mind where all the mental images are springing from, this vast sky-like mind. As vast as the universe, unmeasurable. And that even the concept of you is arising out of this primordial mind. It's just another word put onto a mental image. And taken to be something that was always there, that you noticed, versus something that's arising and falling, arising and falling. And then I'll ring the bowl and follow the sound out, nice and gentle. We'll have fun with that. I wanted to say one thing about, about getting excited about these kinds of ideas and then wanting to share them. It's beautiful to want to share them. It's also beautiful to keep it encapsulated so that it can grow there, so that it can really become strong. And if you do that, and then not do these 10 things and instead do their opposites, then you will find that you will get many opportunities to share, and it will be because they'll ask you. They'll ask you. They'll think that there's something different about you all of a sudden. What have you been doing? And then, I've trying to be kind. Like, what do you mean you're trying to be kind? And then you have this opening, right? You can say, right? But if you're the best way to teach this stuff is just to live it. Just to live it. That's how we teach the best, is by demonstrating it. Any questions before we wrap up? Well, thank you all for coming once again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. How is Nick doing?